Your fear of failure is the reason why you don't win. If every single time an athlete goes out on the field and they're like, oh, I'm afraid to lose, they will never play because there's always a possibility that they can lose. But also, if they never play, they can never win. And so I want you to think about that when it comes to yourself. The only reason why you have not won in this thing called life is because you're afraid to play in this thing called life. You have two choices. Either learn the hard truths about life and accept them and use them to grow, or ignore them your entire life because you're scared of them and stay the same way you are your entire life. So in this video, I'm going to talk to you about some hard truths that you need to realize in your life. The first one is you are stuck because you choose to stop learning. I want you to think about it like this. Will they allow an 8th grader to be in the same class with a 12th grader? No, they won't, because they have not learned enough to get there yet. So what is the difference between an 8th grader and a 12th grader? Essentially, it's how much they have learned. You cannot get to the next step. You cannot get to the next phase in life until you learn how to get there. A lot of people like saying stuff like, oh, well, my parents never taught me about money, or nobody taught me how to save, or nobody taught me how to post on social media, or nobody taught me how to work out. Well, essentially what you're really telling yourself is, because someone never taught me that, I will never learn that thing. What we don't realize is we use that school mindset once we actually graduate as well, because you expected your teacher to teach you about math so you can get to the next grade. You expected your teacher to teach you about English so you can get to the next grade. But essentially, we don't realize once you graduate school, once you start graduating in life, you have to do that for yourself. You have to choose to learn more about money management. You have to choose to learn more about how to grow on social media, how to work out, how to become confident. The thing is, the only things that you have not achieved in life are because you have not learned how to get there. And if you keep telling yourself that the box that you have in your life is going to stop at the things that you've already learned, you are not going to be able to get anywhere else. So any area you are stuck in your life is essentially because a lot of times you have not gained enough knowledge to actually figure out how to get to the next step. You haven't learned enough to get to the next step. And that's a hard truth I want a lot of people to realize. Why don't you know how to do that thing? Is simply because you have not chose to actually go after that thing to figure out how to do that thing. The next one, the person who knows the most is not better than the person that does the least. The problem is now we have a lot of information at the palm of our hands. Anything that you want to do, you can figure out, and you would be surprised how much information that you have on things that are just pointless. You know a lot of information, or maybe you know a lot of information about things that are beneficial for you. Maybe it's a certain way to eat, maybe it's a certain workout. But the problem is until you actually start implementing these things to actually turn them from knowledge into skills, they mean nothing, and you're no different from the people who don't do those things. For example, if you have all of these workouts saved on your phone and you've watched them all through and you've even created a whole workout plan for yourself, you know better than the person that does not know about a workout at all and a person who essentially does not work out. You're no different from a person that does the least. And I think what happens to a lot of us is we gain a lot of this knowledge with the intent of feeling good about ourselves because we know. The knowing feels good. And I think it is a baseline, but I think what's more important is actually doing, because you can know a lot of information and not do nothing. And honestly, you can know so much information that it's crippling. And when you actually start doing things, it really puts things in perspective for you to realize, I don't need to know all of these things. Like when you don't do nothing, it's so easy to read all of the books and listen to all of the videos and do all these things. When you actually start doing, you're like, I can't do all these things. It's like going to the gym. They'll tell you all these workouts to do to slim your back down and how to gain muscles and how to do all these things. But then if you actually start going to the gym, you're like, you know what? I can't do every single workout that everyone recommends. So let me find out what I can do that works best for me. But I think I had to realize that for myself, and a lot of you do as well. They're called forever students. The person that studies, but they never essentially graduate. And I think you need to essentially graduate. You need to start implementing these things because that knowledge is useless. Some people really die with it and never use it. The next one is, what's for you can pass you. A lot of people have this mindset that, oh, if it's something is for me, it won't pass me and it won't miss me, but it actually will. There's this story in the Black community of this pastor who's in a town that's starting to flood. And so he stands in front of the church and the water is to his knees. And a boat comes by and they're like, Pastor, 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 please get in the boat. You know, you're going to drown. And he's like, no, I'm fine. God will protect me and save me. I'm obedient. He'll, make sure I'm all right. The water gets up to his chest. Another boat comes around. It says, Pastor, 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 please get in the boat. Please get in the boat. We don't want anything to happen to you. He's like, it's fine. God will protect me. Now a third boat comes and the water's up to his neck. And they say, Pastor, 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 please get in the boat. We don't want anything to happen to you. Please, the water is getting high. And he says, no, God is going to protect me. The pastor ended up dying and going to heaven. When he gets there, he asks God, why would you let that happen to me? Why wouldn't you allow me to stay alive? Wasn't I obedient? Wouldn't I do all the things you said you wanted me to do? And he says, yes, that's why I sent you 3 boats. See, the problem is a lot of times in life, people convince themselves what's for me won't pass you. And a lot of things that were for you passed you, but you essentially never went after those things. You never allowed yourself to go after those things. And so the thing that you told yourself to make yourself feel better about it is, oh, that thing wasn't for me. And that thing wasn't best for me because if it was for me, it wouldn't have passed me. No, things are going to and already have passed you in life. And until you take the next step to move forward, to actually figure out what is for you, you will never have nothing before you. Think about it like this. It's like you saying you want a dress for your birthday, going to the store and looking at all these dresses folded up and then being like, oh yeah, I don't like this dress and I don't like that dress. I didn't like that dress. Did you actually pick up the dress? Did you actually look at the dress? It's easy for you to pass by all the dresses and say, none of these dresses were for me and I don't think these were for me. Do you actually know what was for you? You did not try them. You did not figure out which one actually was for you. Now, I do think the quote is good for if you've tried something and it didn't work. So I'm not telling you to go back to that relationship that was toxic. I'm not telling you to go back to that job that was toxic. You've tried that thing and it wasn't for you. But I think a lot of people miss out on life opportunities to change their life simply because when that opportunity came, they let it pass by. A lot of times they weren't even prepared for it. And so I want you to think about life like that. Every single day, things are going to pass by you. Every single day, opportunities are going to come. And if you are not ready for them, you are not going to be able to obtain them. So stop thinking that what is for you will not pass you, because it will and it already has. And imagine you getting to heaven and asking God, well, why isn't my life the way I want it to be? And why was I born in this neighborhood? And why did I deal with this? And he shows you a vision of what could have happened if you would have taken all the opportunities that he's given you. He shows you a list of all the opportunities that you had and being like, well, you didn't try this. Well, you didn't try that. Well, you didn't try this. What would you say? No, can I go back? Can I do it again? Can I? You can't, because it's already past you. The next one is no one will remember you. I think about this a lot when it comes to doing things in life. And I think for a long time, I was stagnant in life, like many individuals, because it's kind of like, well, what will people think about this? And what will people say about that? And then I had to really be honest with myself and say, no one will remember you. Like, forget the hairstyle you wore, forget the car you drove, forget the place that you live. No one in a couple decades will remember you. And the people that you are worried about, no one will remember them. And so I have to realize that with myself. And I think it's a constant thing I have to remind myself. And sometimes it is a harsh truth to realize, because I don't do certain things because I don't want to be perceived a certain way or seen a certain way. But it's like, no one is going to remember me as a person. No one's going to remember the things that I did, the way that I felt, the things that made me smile, the things that made me cry. And so I'm sitting here not living a life that I truly want to live, because I kind of don't want to be judged by outside people that even nobody else is going to remember. Do you remember your great, great, great grandmother? No, she probably was an amazing person, but you don't remember her. You don't know anything about her. You might have heard a story about her, but for the most part, probably not. And it's like, imagine your great, great, great grandmother didn't do certain things in her life because she was scared of how people would perceive her. You would be like, wow, that's crazy, because I don't even know the lady and I'm related to her. And she was worried about people who not even related to her, what they think about her. But I had to realize that no one will remember you. So it doesn't matter what you do in this life, no one will remember it. Another one is, you haven't won because you are afraid to fail. I've realized in life the best things come out of failure. It sounds so cliche. It sounds so, oh my gosh, we've heard this before. But I had to realize the best things out of life come when I actually learn how to do something. And I don't learn how to do something until I fail at doing something. And I had to realize, like, dang, if I'm afraid to fail, then that means I'm afraid to try. And I think a lot of people haven't won in life. A lot of people haven't achieved things because they have the fear of failure. They have the fear of, what if I don't get this thing exactly how I want it? What if it doesn't turn out for me? What if I don't graduate in a certain amount of years I'm supposed to graduate? What if I don't make enough money in my business to support me to, leave my job? What if? And those things may happen. Like, I want you to acknowledge that those things may happen, but they are not the end of the world. And the simple fact that you have that fear and it's keeping you stagnant and it's keeping you not moving is the same thing that's going to keep you in the same place your entire life. Your fear of failure is the reason why you don't win. If every single time an athlete goes out on the field and they're like, oh, I'm afraid to lose, they will never play because there's always a possibility that they can lose. But also, if they never play, they can never win. And so I want you to think about that when it comes to yourself. The only reason why you have not won in this thing called life is because you're afraid to play in this thing called life. Another one is nothing lasts forever. And I mean this with people and I mean this with things. And I think it's imperative for you to realize that, like, even how much it may hurt, nothing lasts forever. And I recently saw this video of this guy at an interview, and he was with his friend and they were having kind of like a deep moment. And one of his friends was kind of like, one of us is gonna have to attend the other funeral. And it's like, dang, you don't think about that when you're with your friends. But like the close friends that you love and care about, yes, one of y'all is gonna be attending the other person's funeral. Your parents, when you're with your parents, you don't think about it like that. But you're gonna have to attend your mom and your dad's funeral one day. That job that you love so much, you're going to have to retire one day. And I think a lot of people don't like to think about that. Like, they don't like to think about death. They don't like to think about endings. But I feel like when you're able to acknowledge those things, you're able to appreciate those things more. And I feel like the people that get to the end of the road when things don't last forever, because they never will, and they feel like, oh, I wish I did this and I wish I did that. And they feel so bad about the time they didn't spend with their parents. They feel so bad about the things they took for granted at their job, are the people who had the mindset that everything lasts forever. Nothing lasts forever, including you. And so I think it's imperative to, like, enjoy the moment, enjoy the people that you're around and you're with, but also understand that, they're not going to be here forever. And so pick and choose who you appreciate, pick and choose what you appreciate, and appreciate it while it's still here, because tomorrow is never promised in every aspect. That car that you love and you care about so much, it could be gone tomorrow. Like, it's so many things that we attach ourselves to, identities that we make ourselves around. And I had to realize, like, nothing lasts forever. And it's a hard truth, but it's one that you have to realize so you can stop acting like you deserve to have everything forever. Stop acting like you're always going to have the things that you have in life today, because you have them today, but everything could be going tomorrow. And so I need you to start acting like that and appreciating things and people as if it could be going tomorrow. Kind of going back to the quote I said about the priest. You don't want to be that person that gets to the end of life and you're like, I wish I did this and I wish I did that and I could have did things differently. Why? Because you essentially acted like everything lasts forever. You know that job is not paying you enough money. But soon as you get fired, it's like you want to act like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. Why did you act like that job was gonna last forever and it already wasn't working out for you? You knew the direction that you going in life, you didn't really like it. But then you wake up one day and you're struggling and you're like, oh my gosh, how did I get here? And I'm struggling because you thought that little bit of hope, that little bit of nothing, honestly, that you were holding on to was gonna last you forever. That little bit of money in your bank account, that little piece of relationship that you had left, you thought that little piece was gonna last forever. And if you be honest with yourself and say nothing is going to last forever, it allows you to appreciate things in the moment, but then also move forward and not stay so stuck and attached to things, because in your mind, you're thinking, oh, this is going to last forever, when it's truly not. Well, I know that was a bit much, but thank y'all so much for watching my videos. This was one that I wanted to do because I felt like there's a lot of truths, and I think I know I always say this for a lot of videos, but I might make this into a series. Comment below if you want it below, if y'all want it below. But I don't know. I feel like there are a lot of harsh truths about life that we just have to be honest with ourselves about. And I feel like the more you avoid the hard truths and the hard conversations, the harder your life will be. Because since it is a truth, eventually it will happen. It will come into fruition. You will feel it. But I feel like when you avoid these things, it's so easy for things to happen. And you're like, how did this happen? And how did I get here? And how to. And it's like, the truth was out there, you just didn't want to listen to it. The truth was out there, you just didn't want to acknowledge it. But I feel like when you're able to walk into your truth and acknowledge your truths, you can give yourself a better game plan on how to deal with it. And at least now you have the option. Because if you don't know things, you don't even have the option to know what to do. You get what I'm saying? But thank y'all, like I said, so much for watching my video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to go into the description below and sign up for my newsletter because I am coming out with a podcast. I'm going to start sending weekly newsletters and all that more stuff. So sign up for that so you can be on the list when I send that out. Like I said, thank y'all so much. I appreciate y'all. And don't forget to come back every Sunday, Wednesday, and Friday. Have a great one.